Welcome back to Scrap Cooking. This is we're back in the beautiful Urban Element kitchen, and today we're going to be doing another special episode dedicated to Vanier, our love letter number 2 to Vanier. We're going to be featuring ingredients that were purchased at MC Halal Grocery, as well as Al Mukhtar on MacArthur Avenue in Vanier in Ottawa. And we've got some beautiful Middle Eastern ingredients, and we're going to be making, we're going to play with them a little bit. So it's not going to be a traditional salad by any stretch. But we are going to use some of these wonderful ingredients. We're going to be featuring some seared halloumi cheese, which is a cheese that's salty and firm, and it gets a nice brown crust on it, and it's delicious. And so it's going to be a cucumber salad with dukkha, which is a spice blend that is ground nuts, toasted ground nuts, and spices and sesame seeds. And it has this wonderful nutty, awesome flavor, as well as, but if you do have a nut allergy, if you didn't want to use dukkha, you could use za'atar, which is sumac and thyme and sesames. So you could replace that, no problem. But we're also going to be featuring some bulgur wheat and some toasted pine nuts and some herbs and a little tahini dressing. So let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put some water on, because bulgur, especially the finer bulgur like we have, is it just gets sort of steeped. So we're going to heat up the water, and then we're going to add the bulgur, then we're going to let it sit for 20 minutes. So I'm going to put that on high. So if you're at home, anything on high, you just want to get it boiling. We are going to add a chef pinch of salt. And then we're going to have that getting boiling. While that is boiling, we're going to take our pine nuts, and we have a preheated oven to 350. So that, in theory, would actually be your first step. But it's going to take about maybe about half of them, maybe a third. And the pine nuts you should keep in the fridge, because they will turn very quickly, and they are a more pricey ingredient. So it's better to keep them in the fridge so that their oil doesn't turn rancid. But I'm just going to throw these in my 350 oven. They turn real quick. So they can go from beautifully toasted to carbon real fast. So we don't want carbon, so we're just gonna start at 5 minutes and then add 3 minutes and then add 3 minutes, but it's much better to do it that way than to lose the product. As I said, it's not, of the nuts, it's one of the pricier nuts. So, but if you didn't wanna use pine nuts, you could use walnuts, you could use almonds as well, which they have both at Al Mukhtar. So next, we are going to wash a little bit of parsley. And this is how I like to keep my parsley, in a deli container with the elastic off, so that it doesn't sort of suffocate the stems that are trying to get the water that I put in the bottom. And then to put them away, kind of just push them down a little bit, and I had a lid, and then I put a lid on it and then put it in the fridge. And then every couple days or so, I'll change out the water. And I do the same for the mint. But at the moment, so we're just gonna put this in our bowl and fill it with water. Any of this sand that's in there to fall to the bottom, because it's heavier than the herbs. So all the sand is gonna fall to the bottom, and then we're gonna pick it up and remove it and then get rid of the water. So we're just gonna let that hang out. And in the meantime, we are going to take our bulgur wheat. Now, bulgur is wheat, so if you are not eating gluten or wheat, you can use quinoa instead. It does a good job of kind of mimicking the same kind of flavor profile and texture. But bulgur wheat is interesting because this is brown bulgur, so it's the whole kernel of the wheat kernel that's then been cracked, and then it's been steamed, and then it's been ground and dried. So it actually doesn't need a huge amount of time. So I'm gonna put a cup. My water is just about to come to a boil. As soon as it does, I'm just gonna add this in. Gonna add in my bulgur, and I'm gonna give it a good stir. And I'm just gonna leave it for 20 minutes. If you're using an electric stove, the elements hold a lot of heat, even when you've turned it off, so I would remove it from the element. But if you're using a gas stove, it's fine. All right, so now that that's sitting, I'm gonna take my dukkha. Now I'm gonna turn him down to medium. Oh, that's my pine nuts. So back to our dukkha. We're just, I've got it on low. I'm gonna put it up to medium. If you're on an electric stove, I would still keep it to low because it's much easier to manage the heat on an electric, on a gas stove than it is an electric. So all we're doing is just wanting to toast all those spices and nuts and just get that aroma, really pull it out so it's releasing its flavorful oils. So we don't want to burn it. So we kind of want to keep it moving. So it doesn't need too long. Just when you can really smell all those spices, that nice mix. All right, so I can smell it and it's starting to turn just a little bit darker. So I'm just gonna gently, you can see it steaming a little bit. We're just gonna put that to the side. Next, are going to cut up some of these cucumbers, beautiful Middle East cucumbers that are smaller, and the skin is edible and they're lovely in a salad. So I'm just gonna cut them into cubes. So I'm just gonna quarter them. You can make them any shape you want. You can make them half moons, or you could even do it kind of like a noodle, if you have a spiralizer. I like the crunch that you get with the pieces. All right, I'm gonna take a couple sprigs of mint. And I'm just gonna hold it sort of near the top, and I'm just gonna pull down, and then these top ones gonna go like that. Now I'm gonna keep this stem for another show, which you'll have to subscribe to watch and find out what we do with them. For the mint, I actually just like to tear them with my hands. You take a little small bunch and just rip them. Release the oils that are in there that release the flavor. And I like sort of the chunks of it. All right, so we've got that. We're just gonna put that aside for now. I'm gonna get my my parsley. And I just sort of pull them up out of the water, and then all the dirt is at the bottom. So we give it a good shake. And if you have a little tiny salad spinner, you could put them in that. Or, hey, get out of there. Or you can take a tea towel, a clean tea towel, and just kind of lay them out, kind of pat them dry a little bit. We'll get rid of that. All right. There we go. So they've turned just a nicer shade of beige, and they're not too dark. They are perfect. So we're gonna take them out. Let these guys cool down. So back to the parsley. So if you've got any bits that are kind of brown or slimy or really, really yellow, you can take them out and put them in the compost. I think that's the only one. Everybody else is good. Now we're gonna start at the stem end. The stems are edible, but they've got long fibers running up and down them. So if you want to eat them, it's best to chop them really fine. And we're going to be chopping the leaves fine anyway, but they have a nice little crunch, a little pop to them. So, so I always like to use my, my parsley stems when I'm doing anything. So we just, as small as you can, kind of like you're cutting a chive. And then they just give a little crunch, a little pop. Now I'm gonna use the back of my knife so I'm not dulling the blade. And I'm gonna chuck them into this little bowl. All right, so now we're gonna cut our halloumi. So it's a piece of cheese that's been folded and then brined. So we can cut it in half this way, or we can do it in big pieces. So I'm actually gonna cut it where it is, and we're gonna make little cubes. We probably won't use all of it, probably do 4 per each. And then this you could use on another day. You could keep it whole and keep it in your fridge there. It will go bad eventually, like all things. But yeah, so we're gonna start with those. I'm gonna put these in a container and I'm gonna use them another day. I love halloumi so much that it'll probably be tomorrow. All right, so we got our halloumi sitting aside, our bulgur is soaking, and we're gonna make the little tahini dressing. Now tahini is really just ground up sesames like a peanut butter. And like real peanut butter, when it's sitting for a while, it separates. So the oil rises to the top and all of the meat of the sesames fall to the bottom. So before you do anything with tahini, it's always a really good idea to really mix it with a spoon and get all the stuff in the bottom. Because otherwise, eventually when you get to the bottom of the tahini, it will just be really, really thick and harder to use, and the top will just be really oily. So we're gonna say, so you can see that little chunk is sort of sitting there. We're gonna say about only like a 1/4 cup. And like peanut butter, if you've got a cool spot in your pantry, you can put that in there. It will turn eventually, so you can keep it in the fridge, but it's harder to use because it seizes up. So if you keep it at room temperature, you just want to make sure it's in a cool spot that's out of the sun. So we are going to take a lemon, and we are going to take this rasp. And if you don't have a microplane, that's okay. You can use the small side of your grater. You just gotta be careful that you don't go too far into the white part, which is called the pith. So we're just gonna add some lemon zest. All right, so I'm gonna cut cheek off, and then I'm gonna pull out the seeds with the tip of the knife. I'm gonna add in some lemon. Add a little bit of salt. And I'm gonna have some water on hand. I'm gonna mix that all together. And it's gonna kind of seizes, the acid kind of makes it seize. So now we're gonna add a little bit of water. You can mix it with a whisk if you have one. We're just gonna go get a little bit more creamy. Gonna take some of the sticking to my spoon. I'm gonna add a little bit more water. So I want it to kind of be runny. I don't want it to be liquid, but don't want it to be a thick glop either. Where you can kind of see it kind of holds its shape on top, and then we'll go back in. All right, so I'm gonna taste it. Yum. It's got everything we want. It's got a little bit of that brightness from the lemon. It's got the kind of creaminess from the sesames, and the water just loosens it up, so it's got a really nice texture. So we're gonna put that aside. And then I think we're gonna check our bulgur. So it looks good. I don't really want it to go any further, so I'm gonna spread it out. On a sheet pan so that it can steam, some of that extra water can steam. If you, as I learned the hard way, if you squish it in a towel at this point, because there was enough water, it kind of makes it just one ball, which we don't want. So we're just gonna let that guy hang out, and then next time I do it, maybe I would use 1.5 cups of water rather than 2 cups. But this is learning. So we're just gonna let that steam off and cool down, and then it won't be as full of liquid. And while that's cooling, we are going to make our little cucumber salad. So we're gonna take some of that dukkha. We're gonna put it in there, probably about maybe half of it. It's got some mint. I'm just gonna take just a little bit of that parsley, add it in. And I've got some olive oil and some salt. So I'm just gonna chef pinch salt. And then I'm going to do it with olive oil first, just a little bit. Just gonna toss it. And then that lemon, cut that remainder in half and take out the middle. Pop out my seeds if they want to cooperate. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of lemon juice. All right, bulgur. Still not quite cooled down, so we're just gonna wait another couple minutes, and we'll get that done, and then we're gonna sear the halloumi, and then we'll plate it, and then we have a lovely salad. Okay, so my bulgur is now cooled down. I'm gonna put it in this bowl, and we're gonna add all of our parsley. We're not making a tabbouleh, but we are making a little bulgur salad. So I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil, pinch of salt, and some of this lemon. I'm gonna use the other part that we had. Take that guy out, and you can squeeze it, making sure to hold onto it so that your seeds don't pop out, and that can go in there. Or you can pop it in your water like I did. So we're gonna just mix all of that together. So now we have all of the components for our salad ready, except for one, which is the halloumi. So we're just gonna put that aside, and we are gonna get a pan on. And on a gas burner, I'd put it on high, medium, high. On an electric, I'd put it on medium, maybe just a little bit higher than medium. So what we want is that to be nice and hot. So once our pan is hot, we're gonna add some oil to the pan. And you can use any kind of oil. It's better if you use a neutral oil because it's better with high heat. I don't have any right now, so I am going to use extra virgin olive oil, but it's not the best for cooking when high heat. But in a pinch, it'll do. Add. That just means that there was a little bit of water inside my squeeze bottle, so it's getting a bit snappy. It's got attitude. Woo. Once the snapping stops, we'll add our halloumi. And I find halloumi to be kind of like this cool marriage of like cheese curds and feta. It's got the saltiness of the feta, but it's got the kind of texture, the little squeaks a little bit when it's raw, the halloumi does. So now we're gonna add in our halloumi. And if you're adding stuff to the pan, you want to tilt it forward so that it doesn't splash at you. But then once it's in, then you can make sure that it's got, the oil goes everywhere in the pan. And then we're just gonna leave it like that until we got a nice brown on one side, and then we're gonna flip it. So it takes about a minute or two. Once it's nice and brown on one side, then we're gonna flip them all over. I'm kind of just moving the oil around the whole time that I'm doing it. So you get a bit more control, make sure that they're all even. All right, I'm gonna turn off my pan. They're nice and browned. And I'm gonna get something to put it on. Now comes the fun part. We're gonna put it all together. So I'm gonna put some of my Bulgur salad. I'm gonna make some couple little piles, and you can plate it however you like. We've got our nice mint and cucumber. And we've got our pine nuts. Put it on my cucumbers. And we've got our nice tahini dressing. Just gonna take a couple little pieces of mint, make it all pretty like. And from the garden, got this little chive flower because it's the time of year where chives are blooming. So I'm just gonna hold it, pinch it at the bottom, and then just pull the flowers off. They're edible. They've got this nice little chivy business. And there. And if we wanted to get fancy, add just a little bit of the dukkha. And there we have it. A beautiful Middle Eastern inspired salad. Bulgur with parsley, seared halloumi, and the mint and cucumber salad with the dukkha and the tahini dressing. So thank you, Al Mukhtar and MC Halal Grocery for providing us these beautiful ingredients that we procured and made a lovely salad. And I hope you guys enjoy. And we'll see you for our next one. Thanks so much.